decision-making when you go into a new game week, coming off a heater, if you will, coming off really firing the way you want to?
I think anytime, you start right from watching the film and trying to identify the way the defensive structure is built and where, we can take advantage of, the run game and where we want to attack them in all areas of the field. But obviously it's understanding the system of defense and making some decisions based on what we've done in the past and some new wrinkles. And each week it's the same process, though. You come out on Tuesday and you work on your base game plan, and then Wednesday it's third down and red zone, and then you polish it up on Thursday. So every week is the same process. Some weeks you get into a rhythm more than others, but it's going to be the same thing this week.
Ryan, I know we've talked all year about Dwayne and how well he's playing, but put up 400 yards passing, 6 touchdowns in that game. Can you just put in perspective, based on a lot of the talent that you've worked with in the past, just where he stacks up? I mean, is he just having a year that you couldn't even imagine?
Oh yeah, proud of him. Again, he's doing a great job. He's got a great cast around him. I think that the guys up front did an amazing job in protection. I thought that was really a huge part of what went on. Not only identifying when the pressures were coming and getting the right calls and the communication between the quarterback and the offensive line, but the protection itself, the running backs in protection, giving them time in the pocket. I mean, he had a clean pocket just about the whole day, and when he did a nice job scrambling. And then I thought the receivers did an excellent job, not only spacing out the routes, but creating separation. So I think it's the whole unit, but hats off to what he's done so far. He's still got a long way to go. He has a big ceiling. He's got a lot of talent, but his progression has been pretty good this season.
I don't mean to bang this drum, I don't even know, but he is probably the most legitimate Heisman candidate this program has had in the last decade. Like, when you start talking about that specific award and what comes along with it, is he, in your mind, performed to be worthy of that? And is he a candidate to you?
Well, especially when you're in the season and you're kind of where we're at right now, it's not appropriate to come up for air and kind of look at those type of things. And none of that stuff matters if we don't play well again this week. And so, am I proud of what he's done? Yeah. Do I think he should be consideration for the Heisman? Absolutely. But to sit here and tell you I know where he ranks and all that and have thought a lot about it, I haven't.
Brian, when you have the offensive line play the way they did on Saturday, how much easier does that make your job when you're calling plays against the defense like that?
Unbelievable. That's the key to the whole game. When you win a line of scrimmage, then everything changes. And not only running the ball, but in protection. And I thought they did. They dominated the line of scrimmage.
Brian, kind of going off of that, losing Demetrius, and then that's obviously a huge blow. How prepared do you feel like Wyatt Davis and all those guys are to fill in that?
Well, Wyatt played in the game. And more than I actually remembered him playing. So we put him in there in some goal line situations. He's played this year. He's done a nice job in practice. He's been practicing a lot better, and he played in the game already. And the games that he was, the plays that were in there during the game, he played well, and so we have confidence there.
And then Urban talked about guys like Josh Myers and Joshua Alabi. Just what are those guys like right now?
Yeah.
How prepared are they?
Good. Again, I think practice, really, I think where we're going is our practices have got improved during the season. I think the offensive line have done a great job in practice, and so there's some depth there. Josh has stepped in, Wyatt now has to step in, and so again, a lot of progress being made there.
Ryan, it felt like there were plays maybe that you hadn't run or shown until Saturday. Am I wrong with this, that there looked like there's some new wrinkles for you guys that you had for that game?
We always have new wrinkles. I think that we were able to execute them. I thought the scheme was good, and we were able to put it on the field. But at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. They're all good plays when they work. But the guys did a good job.
This might be a stupid question then for a playbook that might be constantly evolving, or depending on matchups. But is there still much more up your sleeve, more in reserve that you and Kevin and Coach Meyer have not, had an opportunity yet to call?
Well, every week, we go in there and we try to be a step ahead of the defense. We try to be creative, and there's a fine line there of being too over the top, where the guys are doing new things. They don't have confidence in what they do. I think when you do some of the same things but give the defense a different look, the guys play with confidence and speed.
Ryan, you said that Dwayne's has a ways to go, I think is the way you put it. I trust you implicitly, but what the heck are we going to see from Dwayne Haskins between now and the time that he reaches his ceiling? Like, what more does he have to show you?
Well, no, I just think that he is, in terms of football, he's young. He hasn't played a lot, and that goes to show you what his ceiling is. He has played well this year, but in terms of playing, he's only played in so many games. I guess it's 12 games now, a little bit last year, but which is exciting for everybody. Because, in terms of the football part of it, physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. And so that's exciting to be around. But a lot of progress has been made this year, and so we just got to keep building.
When it comes to that mental part, Urban said he's studied Kobe Bryant and done some things from a leadership standpoint. What have you told him as his coach from that aspect of what he needs to do, and how has he embraced it?
I think it's two things. I think once you have to find your own voice. You can't be somebody else. You have to be yourself. But then at the same time, a lot of leaders have the same type of characteristics, and understanding what they are and when to be assertive and building respect of the guys around you. But again, being your own person, and I think that's a process. You have to do it. You have to get on the field and be around it, and it's hard to do that sometimes when you haven't played. And so I think he's putting together a body of work so that now he's built some confidence and that's kind of building every week.
So Ryan, last week, Kobe?
No.
Was that Urban, or was that something he decided to do on his own?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Right, last week I saw some plays I hadn't seen from you guys before this year. Maybe I was just looking at cross-eyed. I don't know. But is it a matter of y'all still have things in your hip pocket, or that you come up with stuff from one week to the next? How does that process work?
I think you always have new things. Sometimes you call them during the game. One of the plays that we called in the game the other day, we tried to get on 3 times against Maryland, and the look just wasn't right, so we had to check out of it. So sometimes the look is just right, and you hit it. Sometimes you call a play, and the look isn't right, and you got to check out of it. And so it's a calculated risk, but we're always, everybody in that room is looking to be creative and trying to find explosive plays. And so I think we're doing a good job with that the last few weeks.
Which one was that at Maryland?
It was the play to Johnny, the throwback.
That's a good play. When you go from week to week, and obviously Michigan tried to line up and play man a lot and stuff, and kind of backed out a little bit, I think, as the game went on. But when you go and you're facing a team like Northwestern that plays a lot of zone, it looks like. Yep. How much of it do you adjust to what they're doing, and how much of it do you just try to run some of your stuff?
Both, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's both. Yeah. You're right. It's a delicate balance because you want to do the things that the guys know well. We played against teams that play zone too, so it's we have a playbook, and then trying to find the right plays that fit the defense that we're running.
Is patience going to be maybe important this week? Last week I think everybody was revved up to go after man coverage. That's going to present some opportunities. Maybe this week there'll be stuff there, but it's not the big home run plays.
Yeah, I think every game has its own feel, and when you're dealing with man coverage, sometimes the percentages of the completions aren't as high, but the plays are bigger. When sometimes you're playing against a zone team, it's a little bit more of a rhythm game and more completions, but maybe not as many yards. And so every game takes on its own personality, and so this game probably will take on more of that.
How tough of a nut it will be Northwestern's defense to crack? I mean, what stands out about them from your vantage point?
They're tough. They've been in that system for a long time. The coaches and the players, they understand how you're trying to attack them. They don't try to give you as many looks or anything like that, but they understand what you're doing. They really study everything about you, and really quick to react. You can probably get a play or two on them, but then the minute you run that play, they're going to be on it and get that thing fixed and adjust quick on the move. Really smart and can diagnose plays.
So I went over back to Dwayne.
Go ahead.
Coming back to Dwayne, were there certain things about his personality that you had to develop to make him a team leader? I mean, was he less assertive than you wanted him to be, coming in? I mean, what non-football elements of Dwayne did you have to work on to get him to where you wanted him?
Yeah, even when I had a chance to coach in the NFL, anytime you're coaching quarterbacks, you're always talking about leadership, and you're always talking about how important your number one job is to lead 10 men on the field, and so that's always part of anybody that you're coaching a quarterback. But I think it was important for him to find his voice and to find his own way of leading, and so that was something that we've been working on for a long time. And I think along the season he's found it. Still, again, a work in progress, believe it or not, but a lot of progress has been made.
We're not going to get to talk to you tomorrow, but there's a good chance he might be probably the quarterback of the year in the Big Ten, but maybe the MVP, or offensive MVP and stuff. But how deserving is that from your vantage point?
Again, it's a tribute to everybody. He can't do that without everybody around him. And you talk about the senior leadership at wide receiver. Talk about that offensive line. Everybody involved in it. So I think if something like that were to happen, that would be an indication of the guys around him. And obviously he had to do it himself, but no way could he have done that on his own.
But specifically him, he's been pretty accurate. Most of what just stands out about the way he has played in that regard of just throwing the ball?
Yeah, just throwing the ball. Obviously, his accuracy and his anticipation is pretty special. But I think in the last couple of weeks you've seen him change his game a little bit, in that he's run. He's made some tough yards. He's scrambled when he's needed to. That changes how a defense approaches him, and so I think that aspect of his game has helped the whole offense.
Ryan, when did you notice Chris Olave has a chess piece for you?
In recruiting?
Well, anytime that you wanted to use him this year.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go all the way back, that's fine too.
Well, no, it was funny in recruiting. He didn't play his junior year, and I was out recruiting a quarterback in San Diego, and they said, you may want to look at this wide receiver, and so he hadn't played, and so kind of saw him run around on the field a little bit, do a few things, and it just kind of popped.
Yeah.
And then we watched his first couple games, and he did a great job, and then throughout the process, talking to his family, convincing his family to move all the way to Ohio, to come to school. But a really talented four-sport athlete who really has a bright future ahead.
When you see a guy like that, are you looking, just your vantage point, I know you want to see a guy who can catch the ball instead of run routes, but are you looking too for just elite speed? What just makes him stand out more than anything else as you think back to it?
Yeah, when you're looking at receivers, they come in different shapes and sizes, when you look at them. And he was a guy who he played multiple sports, and his hand-eye was excellent, and he could track a ball in baseball. He could do those type of things, but he also had speed, like real speed in track. And so when you combine all those things, he comes from a family of football players, 3 brothers, and so all those things start to add up, and then when you see him play on the field, it speaks for itself.
So quick thing, Ryan, was Saturday, was that his ahead of the game? I don't know if that's the right term you would use. Like you were talking about getting in a rhythm and stuff, but did y'all feel like y'all were ahead of their adjustments sort of all day? That's not slamming them, but what was just your sense of that? Did y'all were?
Hard to say. Really, really well coached defense.
Yeah.
I mean, best in the country. A lot of respect for those guys and what they do. A lot of good players. So, no, I wouldn't say that. It was hard. It wasn't easy. It was a hard day. But I do think when we got in a rhythm early and the protection was good early. Kind of get his feet set. And we hit the first one to Chris, and then we kind of got the other one going. That kind of got us going, and I think the guys built confidence as the game went on.
The progress that you're talking about with
if you haven't
it's like 20 from 50.
Was that the best that the line has played this year?
I mean, that was as good as they played. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly if they've graded out better than that, but I would say that that was probably one of the better performances of the year.
And how much faith do you have in Wyatt Davis and the concerns you might have in having a new piece when you have that kind of performance?
I think when you look at him every day, the way he's practiced, he's really improved in his practice. Had a good season. He stepped in and played that game, more than I expected him to play. And did a good job. So, he's played in some goal line sets for us, done a good job there, done a good job in practice. So now he's got to go play, but what we've seen in practice, we have confidence in him.
Ryan, the whole thing with Dwayne this year, and I think we've asked you 10 versions of this question the whole season.
Yes.
This is an offense that often has a running quarterback. This is a big, strong guy who can throw well. Here we are, we're 12 weeks in, you guys are going to the Big Ten championship game. Just the progress, the process of matching Dwayne's strengths to this offense. What do you think of how it all worked, both from you guys as coaches and from Dwayne?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was kind of a work in progress. It's going throughout the season, finding the right balance, especially coming off of that bye week. I think that we've done a good job of that. I think the players done a good job. Coach has done an excellent job of mixing that up. And obviously, the way we've been able to run the ball the last few weeks has really made it more explosive for the whole offense. That we're not just one-sided, and anytime you're balanced like that, that helps you become explosive. But I think when you've combined our ability to throw the ball down the field, our ability to get the ball in space to playmakers, and then in the run game, still having Dwayne enough of a threat to run the ball where you have to account for him makes the difference.